Hello guys, today we are going to talk about loops. What is it exactly and when we should use it? Okay, brief information. Loops are using to execute the same block of code many times, right? Because sometimes it could be irritating when we write the same line many times, right? So the main adventure here is reduced amount of code, right? The code is smaller and that's why it execute faster, let's say. Okay, three types of loops, for, while, and do while. What's the difference between them? I'll tell you in a moment. Okay, so let's go to the first loop. First loop for it is used when we know how many times the loop needs to be executed. So here, as you see in example, this is the syntax. We put the for keyword, then rounded brackets, and for block which should be executed, curly brackets, open and close. And as arguments, we need to provide three stages. First one, start. We need to provide certain point. This is actually a variable, and we are telling here where we start counting, right? So it could be certain value like 0, 1, or 5 on 100 or whatever. The second condition, it's a simple condition, true, false. In each iteration, we checked if the condition is true. If it is true, the loop execute the code block. And the last stage, change. Here we define how our variable that we set in our start will be changing, right? It can change by adding 1 in each iteration, or 2, or whatever else, or maybe something other logic here, right? So based on those three stages, we can calculate how many times the loop will be executed. Okay, let's go to the while. While is very simple loop. We need to provide while keyword and in brackets condition, and of course the curly brackets for code block. Okay, and we use this kind of loop when we don't know exact number of iterations, right? But we know the condition. And again, the condition has to be the Boolean value, true or false, right? If true, the while is executing. If false, it's not. Simple example for that, maybe we can use it for a simple game where while is a main loop, and the game is running always, actually, until we change the switch from true to false, right? Okay, and the last, do while. This is actually the same as a while, but here we've got some assurance that this kind of loop will be executing at least once, because first we put the do keyword, then curly brackets for the code, and the code is executing, and after that we've got while keyword with condition. So please notice the condition is in the end. So even though the condition in the beginning is false, this loop will be executed at least once. So this is very important difference between while and do while. Okay, and that's pretty all, I guess. Let's go to practice. Okay, let's start from for loop. We need to start from for keyword, rounded brackets, and first of all point where we start counting. Actually, our for loop starts counting. So it's a simple variable int, let's say counter equal 0 and semicolon. And here as a number we can provide anything, right? Actually, whatever, but for now let's start from 0. Second, it's our stop condition. So let's say counter smaller than 5, let's say. Again, semicolon, and in the end we need to provide our change, how our counter after each iteration will be changing. So we want to change every one iteration. So counter and double plus, it's called incrementation, and it's the same as counter equal counter plus 1, right? So this is the same, this is shortcut. Okay, then we need here curly brackets, and we provide a code which we want to execute 5 times, right? Because from 0 to 5, actually not to 5 to 4, because for 5 it won't execute, it's 4 numbers. So cout number of iteration counter. Okay, seems okay. Let's run it. Okay, great. As you see, we start from 0 and we finish on 4 because it's the last smaller number in our counter, and in each iteration we increase our counter by 1, right? From 0 to 1, etc. Okay, we can change our actually we can add our 5 into our iteration by changing the condition by counter smaller than or equal to, right? So that's correct now, and iteration number 5 should be occur on, and it is. Okay, great. So what else here? We can actually our change execute in another way. Let's say I put here 10, and we want to display only the even values, even numbers. So we need to add every 2 numbers, right? So equal counter plus 2, right? That should work. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So that's correct. What else? We can change every third number by changing here on 3, right? So let's check this out now. We've got 0, 3, 6, and 9. So that's correct. So this is pretty everything about for loop for now. Here we can start even from negative number, like something like this, let's say, right? So this is pretty easy and pretty obvious, I guess. Okay, that's all. Let's go to next loop. Okay, now while loop. Let me just comment the for loop. While. Okay, while. We need to provide keywords while, rounded brackets, and here we need to provide our condition. Let's say we need simple condition. We need integer. Let's say c equal 0, and here we want to c smaller than, let's say, 10. Curly brackets, and between them our code. For our case, simple output and number 0. Okay, it seems okay because c is smaller than 10, but actually it's infinite loop because we don't change the C value, right? And it still is constantly 0. So the while loop will be working constantly. So let's see how it works. As you see, here's small mistake, C. Let's run it again. Okay, but it's the same result. So as you see, the program constantly works and the number of C is not changed. So we need to provide the change of C because we've got here a condition to stop. So the simplest way to do that is increment the C value. Okay, now should be better. We've got number from 0 to 9, so it's 10 results, and that's all right. Okay, I know it's very simple example, but sometimes you don't know the numbers of iteration and you need to provide a certain condition. So that's all about while. And now let's talk about do while. Cout /n do while, small separation, and what we need here. We need do keyword and then curly brackets. So here between those brackets we provide again our code which we want to execute, and let's say I add maybe another variable int v equals, let's say 10 this time, v, and here we've got a syntax error because we need to provide while keyword with condition also. So we need to provide v if is greater than 100. Of course it's false, right? But here, as you know already, the do while executed at least once because the condition is checked in the end, not on the beginning, like in our while loop, right? So even though here we've got the false, the first one, the first iteration will be executed. So let's check this out. As you see, you've got here do while and number 10, and then the while stopped. So this is how do while work.